Here's the story of a bunch of podcasts who were bringing Cubby content to the world. All of them did their own show. Unconnected, obsessive baseball nerds. It's the story of a bunch of Cubs fans who are consolidating all their shows. They're uniting, doing it together, so we all can grow. Cup of Cubby Blues combining with Sunranto, Baseball Rabbit Hole and Cubs PS Plus. With Cubs Pod and Bricks behind the ivy, they're all teaming up to be the Bleacher Bunch, the Bleacher Bunch. We love the Cubs, that's the way we became the Bleacher Bunch.
Welcome to the Bleacher Bunch on the Fans First Network. This show is brought to you by all of our Patreon supporters who support us at patreon.com/Bleacher Bunch, and especially Blake Beard and Rogue Wave Creative, not to mention all the great podcasts who are releasing on the Bleacher Bunch these days. The Cubs PS Plus podcast. There's a show out today from Mike Waller, Cup of Cubby Blue, Bricks Behind the Ivy, Baseball Rabbit Hole, Cubs Pod, and of course the Sunranto Show. And especially want to thank our sponsors in the Clutch shirts, which I'm wearing one of those suckers right now. Look, I got my Take a Chance. Take a chance if you free your mind. And you can get that over at intheclutch.com. They're a great sponsor. Every month, we give away a special prize from In the Clutch shirts to one of our Patreon members. So make sure you join at patreon.com/Sunranto. And also Matt Kammerer's permanent paintings. You could win one of those too. A Ron Santo over a map drawing, painting, I don't know exactly. Print. It's a print. That's what it's called. Anyway, we have a great show for you tonight. Hashtag Chance in the chat if you're nasty, and you could win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. We've got a great show tonight. We've got Evan Altman on here from Cubs Insider. He'll be here in 1 second. Crawly is going to give a stop by. And then Billy DeVore from the new Nasty Boys, the Reds fan, brew, on the Bleacher Bunch. And we'll be coming by to let us know what's happening with the Reds, Cincinnati Reds. And once again, hashtag Chance, message of love and doom. Thanks for being here tonight. Like, subscribe, all those things they tell you to do in podcast land. And without further ado, from Cubs Insider to talk about everything going on in the offseason, it's Mr. Evan Altman.
Yeah. All right.
What's up, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Now that's an introduction, my friend. That's how you do it.
No, that was nice. I'm like, we're opposite here. Your ring light is out. I'm not using a ring light, but the new lights in the overhead fan above me are a little bit bright, so they're washing me out from the back. You look a little dark and foreboding. So
I like your purse is hanging on the wall. That's a nice backdrop you've got. Is that one of the ones that StreamYard gives you that you could choose from? You're like, let me look like I'm in my daughter's room. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
We're in the in my office / wife's craft room, so there's all kinds of, you see some crafty nests over here, and then there's a cricket somewhere behind me and her stuff. So yeah, there's no cats in here though. Usually the cats hang out with me all day, but then in the evening they move on to other more interesting people. When so I work from home, right? So the cats like to be around people. They go sleep in another chair, and then I am nobody as soon as the rest of the family shows up. So it's nice.
Oh, really? They just like leave you as you're just sloppy seconds for for your cats?
Basically, more or less, as soon as anybody else shows up. As soon as my wife comes home, it's like they're, if it's either somebody who's feeding them or just somebody who's not me in general, they're very interested.
Yeah, I've heard you had that effect on Pussy.
Yeah,
So we're off to a quite a start here. I'd like to welcome Little Yumpers here, saying hashtag Chance. So is Captain Cubbo. Roberto Ramos is here. Alex Anderson is here as well. And Terry E says, in the words of John Sebastian, welcome back, Daddy. Thanks. No, it's nice to be back. The last couple of weeks I was putting up a show at my theater. I'll talk about that a little bit later because I want you all to come on February 8th to come see it. And it's called Mannequin's Ball at Trapdoor Theater. It's a great show. We're getting well reviewed, and I think it's a pretty important piece to be doing right now. And it's funny. So like, it's dark outside, it's cold. Come down, sit in the theater. It's an hour, 20 minutes. Like, some couple snazzy numbers that they called cheeky in the reviews. So it wasn't the first time I've been called cheeky. I mean, I've already been cheeky with you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Are you pantsless? Is this the cheekiness here? You're living it out? Or?
What am I, Clark the Cub here?
Yeah. Just hanging dong right in the middle of the pod. It's cool.
No, I've been wearing pretty much sweatpants since COVID. Since we started doing our show, The Rant, back in 2020, I have been wearing a pair of sweatpants since then, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's funny how, did you notice how like the market for kind of designer / like dressier sweats, like that became the thing. Like that never existed before, like 5 years ago. Now all of a sudden it's like the joggers, right? That's what they're not sweats, they're joggers.
Yeah, and you can kind of dress them up. They like have the feeling of sweatpants, but you have to kind of look twice to see if they might be slacks. Could be slacks.
They're a little more tapered, that sort of thing. It's like you can get away with a lot more. So it's kind of like anymore like dressing up. It used to be like I just remember like we still had to have like ties and shirts and stuff when I'd be in the office, and then that went like there was casual Friday, and now it's like. It's jeans 4 days a week, and then you can pretty much wear the hell you want on Fridays. It's just
exactly.
Like it's all gone wild, and it's like, and oddly enough, wow, people can still perform their jobs even wearing sweats. It's crazy. I know,
it's crazy, and no, it really is. It really is. I'm shocked because Lord knows that it's not always true because like if I'm gonna go perform on the stage. I definitely feel different if I dress up a little bit, rocks like that's more of a costume. But if I'm just like sitting on a Zoom call with a stupid, background on, like who cares? Like you just got to look good from pretty much your boobs up, and then you're good.
As long as depending. And then, and sometimes if you got to show a little cleavage, that's fine too, right?
Hey, that's how do you think I got my promotion?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Bleacher Bunch, I assume this is Jeff Rogowskis is here saying all chaps are assless chaps.
This is true.
It is true. It is true. Like it is redundant.
It's like having a beef hamburger, right? Like
exactly.
Of course. That's a great basketball shot. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of beef burgers and a couple of assless chaps, why don't we talk about the Cubs and but what's going on with them? You seem to be an expert. I've landed on your page, Cubs Insider, quite a few times, and you seem to be a gentleman with quite a few insights to the team. And I thought I'd have you on and talk about them, specifically some stuff that you posted today. Let's just start with the some of the rumors that are going out there. One is Dylan Cease. The other one's David Robertson. Which one do you want to take first and tell me your feelings on the matter?
I mean, I guess we can go with Cease because I feel like that's the one that's by far the least likely to happen. And the thing is, like, it's been out there for a while, right? As soon as it came out that the Padres were trying to move it, right?
As soon as we traded it, we were like, how can we get it back?
How can we get this guy back? Like, let's see. It's like how many guys, and we've talked about it, I think, on here. I know we have before. I think the last time when I was on was Sarah Sanchez, and I kind of joke about it. It's like it wouldn't be an offseason or a trade deadline if the Cubs didn't reacquire somebody they'd already traded away. Right? Jamer Candelario, Isaac Paredes. Now they got to get him back in a couple years.
The difference is Cease doesn't play third. That is really the outlier there.
Nor was he a guy who was like completely underrated and they failed to develop because he was a top pick and he was really good from the start. And so parting with him was a big thing. But the issue there, I know John Morosi talked about it. It was pretty funny though, because it really, some of the stuff that he was saying, I was like, dude, you are absolutely channeling Scott Boras, right? Like, and it's a trade. It's not like Cease is bucking for a contract right now, but it still feels like one of those deals where, again, Boras does have a vested interest in where his client is traded because that's going to help his value as a free agent, right? So that makes sense. But the word on the street is that the Padres are asking for Matt Shaw plus in order to get see that it's not going to have, like, that's the kind of thing where I think it's both ways. Like they're saying he's on the market, but he's only on the market in terms of like, hey, we're fishing, we're sitting here, I'm just laying around at the beach, I'm gonna throw a line in. If somebody happens to bite, cool. If not, whatever. And that,
so maybe they trade him for like a Jose Quintana or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like,
is that what you're saying? No,
yeah, I'm saying like, yeah, that would be
like we did.
They'll get Jose Quintana and maybe they can find Eloy Jimenez somewhere and bring him in too. He's on a minor league deal, but I think it's one of the. I don't know. Didn't he? Who did he sign with now?
Was it Cleveland?
He signed a minor league deal, I think, and now
Somebody tell us in the chat. I don't feel like looking up because I don't care. But yeah, I mean, the Dylan Cease. I went to his first game as a White Sox when he came up. His parents were there. We had pretty good seats. Got to see him pitch. The dude has it. You know, we kind of knew that when we saw him as a AAA, AA guy when he was coming up. He was like the great hope for a pitching infrastructure that hadn't brought us anything for years. And then the one guy that was about to emerge gets traded. And say what you want about what that trade, I don't think it worked out great for us, but the guy has really blossomed into a really top of the line pitcher that a lot of teams wanted him, including the Padres, who were loading up and now seem to be unloading because their owner died pretty much, and they're the wife's in a lawsuit, and that's probably why, right?
I mean, I think there's a lot there to it, and I don't know how much, it's kind of weird because they're talking about trimming salary, but it's like, and part of it, you can't move the dudes they got like 5 guys they're paying $100+ million to. It's hard to move those guys, but they're talking about Michael King and Cease and Robert Suarez. Only Suarez has more than a year of control left, and Cease is only like 14.5, 14.75, something like that. I think King is like 8 or 9, or he's in arbitration, so we don't know, but he's projected around 8 or 9. So like, you got to trim money, but you're doing it with dudes who aren't going to take that much, relatively speaking, off your bottom line.
So really, it sounds like they're trying to load up on prospects with the guys that they have, and they're going to build around the dudes that they feel like they're stuck with.
Right, more or less. And so if you can move those dudes who are in, Cease is a Scott Boras client. So if you're looking at, and even if he wasn't, you're looking at a monster deal in free agency or to extend him. And so it's understandable they try to move him. I don't know how serious AJ Preller is about that, though, because if you're asking for Matt Shaw, the number 1 prospect in the system and one of the top, depending on where you look, 15 to 30 prospects in all of baseball, for a team that just got rid of like 5 third basemen over so far, like it's like everybody was like, the Cubs have 55 third basemen and now they have like 1. Maybe 2. Vidal Brujan, right? Like that guy. Woo.
No, they got rid of him. Oh no, he's still here.
No, they got rid of Luis Vasquez, which
that's
again, which I thought was, again, why are you getting rid of a young controllable guy instead of this? But
40 man, because they got the old man Birdie coming in.
There you go. And hey, he can play third, but it just, like, to me, it's a completely unserious negotiation if you're saying we need Matt Shaw plus for 1 year of Dylan Cease. Like, that is absolutely foolish. And again, for a Cubs team that already traded Cam Smith, who, a lot of people, again, I think we'll see, right? Time will be the judge. I think his super hot start as a professional raised a lot more antenna and had people maybe thinking higher than what is realistic. But again, who knows? But like Shaw, I really think is the goods. The Cubs think he's the goods. That's not going to work. But when a
lot of people think he's the goods. I mean, people are commenting really from outside the organization. Keith Law put out his thing about how, and that kind of hitter too. He's like a better Nico Horner, sort of, so to speak, in that, like, he's going to be a contact guy. And I think in today's game that could be so valuable.
Yeah. And
more than the tons of pop sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, the dude hit like a 500-foot home run in college, right? Like that. Now, granted, bats are a little bit hotter. Not tremendously. Those BB Core bats they use in high school and college are not a lot hotter than a wood bat. But I was talking to a scout, not from the Cubs organization, who flat out said this is the best.
We fired all baseball.
Yeah, there are none. There are no.
Cubs are using Scout GPT now. Right. Like that ship has sailed.
Yeah, we're done there. But he was like, this is the best hitter in minor league baseball right now. Like, flat out, just the combination of everything, right? So a lot of people are like, and what I love is, like, when you put something out there and like, this is what someone told me. Obviously, it's their opinion, and then everybody, well, actually, and I'm like, No, you don't. This is his. I'm just telling you what someone said. I'm not saying this is true. I'm not. Well, but if you look at this, and I'm like, folks, let's just calm down a little bit, right? But he's saying overall and then projecting. And if you look at the things that he's done and even the growth he's shown since they drafted him and the way he's been able to kind of address some of his weaknesses at third base, I mean, I think, again, this is a guy who's the future. But if we look at realistically, we talk about that, Michael King is another guy the Cubs have talked about, one of the Padres starters they're trying to move. And even
while you're talking, I'm gonna put up. I've got their stat casts, and so I'll just put them up, and people that are watching right now can take a look. This is why you always got to watch the show, everybody. Here's Dylan Cease's stat cast, but keep talking.
Yeah, so and you again, King coming off a really solid season. Not the only thing about King is that he's very similar. If you look across those numbers, it's like, oh, gee, he throws 93. Oh, that sounds like a Cubs starter, right? Like, because they all throw 93.
Yeah,
very good. A little bit of a different profile, but the thing is, the ask for him, the most people who, even amateurs who are trying to prognosticate on this are saying Javier Assad, Kevin Alcantara, and probably a more of a throw-in low-level piece, Alcantara or Casey. So, I mean, you're talking about having to give up one of your current starting pitchers, which makes sense, and a top 5 prospect. Right, like it's going to take a lot just to get King. Cease is that much more, so it would take at least that. But it would be either one of these guys is going to be a Quintana-like haul if you're looking at that in depending on how it breaks down. But I'd say either one of them. Also, if you're talking about Javier Assad, I feel like is kind of a
it's a good swing man.
Yeah, I mean, but if things broke a little bit differently, like he looked really good for a while, but then once things started, the wheels kind of fell off around mid-season, and part of that was an injury as well. But I think if you found a way to effectively replace him with Dylan Cease, or and Michael King is very, very good, either one of them, but especially Cease, like that overhauls your rotation completely.
Well, you're looking at their percentage rankings, and they're all in the red, for the most part. The thing I like about Cease the most is that he gives you the fastball, and that's the thing that's kind of he would be instantly the guy that throws the hardest on the squad in the rotation. And I think what everybody's been asking for is to slot your Steele. I mean, whatever a number one is, who cares? Is it Imanaga? Is it Steele? Is it, depends on who's acting like a number one, in my opinion. But Dylan Cease has been kind of touted as a number one, even though he necessarily hasn't always been on the teams he's been on either. But he's got that kind of stuff that you would maybe point to and call elite. In a way, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's got the strikeout stuff, the swing and miss stuff that we really are more pitch to contact kind of team. Like you said, the Michael Kings throwing the 93s and stuff like that. It just, which is fine because you got the defense going on. You got defense for days, but at the same time, it would be nice to have a different look, especially if you consider that you're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
you want to hit them with something a little bit different because they're going to see you over and over and over again.
And if you can go left, right, left at the top of that rotation with not only that, handedness is a different look, the velocity is a different look, the stuff is different between all those guys. And again, so you've raised both the floor and the ceiling of the rotation significantly at that point. And that's the kind of move again. And some people say, Hoyer already made a moderately desperate move to go get a guy like Kyle Tucker, again, who's going to be very, very difficult to extend if they're even willing to. Same would be true for either of these guys if they were to trade for him. But you've already, like, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? If you've already made that one big move to do it, make another one. Well, you've got tons of prospects.
But last year's trade deadline, or last year's scraping over the luxury tax, tells me that in for a penny, in for a pound is not the way that they think. They're like, whoops, No, but here's the real question. The real question is, will the Cubs break even? And that's really what the Cub fans are really wondering. Will the Cubs manage to make Tom Ricketts have his expenditures match with the income, gross receipts? That's really what we're all asking here.
Hey, he's paying plenty of accountants a lot to balance those books the right way, right? That's what everybody's like, this isn't, and I'm like, look, at the end of the day, like, I'm not saying you should like what he's saying, but realistically, everything he's saying is completely true because he's making it true. right? It's not. It's not as if like he's making it seem like there's some nonprofit. Right, right.
Well, like, I gotta do it. It's government regulations. Otherwise, I'll lose my license if I don't break even. It's like
everybody's getting their bonuses at the end of the year at Christmas because we have to give away all our profits. Like, no, it's not that they're to an extent. And the thing is, too, they're like, well, look at all this stuff. And it was like, no. First of all, you got to realize he's eliminating all the extra revenue that takes place outside the walls of Wrigley Field. Like, he's not talking about that going in there.
Hey, $25 million to Republican causes. So in my opinion, you can figure out a way to sign Bregman if you so should want to go that. Now I don't even want to go down the Bregman conversation. That's been beat to death for the last few months, I think. But I guess this is Jeff again. Jeff Rogowski saying MLB had its highest revenue year ever at $121 billion. That doesn't buy you. Look at eggs are $8. Like there's, that doesn't buy you what it once could. $121 billion. How many? What is that in eggs?
Like 5
eggs. Yeah. You can't even buy eggs for it anymore.
Golden eggs, right? You don't even need a goose laying golden eggs anymore. It's just regular eggs.
Regular eggs, exactly. It's more valuable. Jack and the Beanstalk comes down with
per ounce. I think actual eggs are worth more than golden eggs at this point.
Exactly. So now my question is like, because we did see kind of Jed push in for the 1 year kind of deal with Tucker to upgrade the Bellinger situation, and I believe it is. Now, do you think that because it is his last year, that he's really more apt to push in at this point?
I mean, I think he has to be, right? For a variety of reasons, not just because of that, because as you said, I mean, I don't think and this probably like a lot of people just be like, duh. I don't think winning is ownership's priority. As such, I don't think Hoyer producing a playoff team that makes a deep run, his future is not contingent upon that. I think it's more a matter of like, are we quote unquote breaking even? Are we, are they making money? Is he putting a team on the field that people are showing up and paying to sit in the yard for $1,000 for 4 seats, and you get a free burger and a cooler full of beer, right? Like that, which is cool. I mean, the concept is cool until you realize how much it costs for 4 people to go see the Dodgers play. But and just for a moment, because I tweeted this out, but this is the funniest thing to me, is in one breath, the owner is sitting there saying you can't expect us to spend like the Mets and the Dodgers. And then a week later or 2 or whatever the timing was, they're like, here's a new premium seating experience. We need you to pay more money for it. I'm like, do you understand how tone deaf this is, dude? Are you this just, you could just not talk. Shutting up is free, Tom. You could just not talk and it would be so much better, because the Cubs are more expensive to attend than either the Dodgers. They're not much by the Dodgers, but like the Mets are significantly cheaper than the Cubs. And yet they're paying $760 million for a dude. So it just stuff like that. Like Ricketts needs to stop trying, just like when he tried to explain to me how arbitration salaries work. And I'm like, bro, you need to read the room so badly and understand who you're speaking to and just dial it back. But I digress. But yeah, so back to your question. I think it's more a matter of Jed has undergone this 4-year, 5-year rebuild that he said was never a rebuild. And now you've got consecutive 83 win seasons. The Brewers consistently whip their ass with a much smaller payroll. Like, it's more a matter of you can't continue to just flail and tread water given the market that you have in a division that's all small markets outside of you, and you still can't do better than 83 wins. Like you at this point, you have to win, or it's clear that you just don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, even if it is like that slow, solid build thing where you constantly have a guy coming up, that you have a good enough farm system and that's constantly producing players that are very useful to your team, and then you're constantly adding like the crafty veteran arm, mixing it in with a couple of really decent money signings that, as it makes you able to, what have we heard for years? sustainable success year after year, go to the playoffs. But we're living in the time of haves and have-nots. So I'm worried that you do win the division, and then you're just, 2007, 2008 and straight out of it, even though I think those were much better teams than maybe we've seen the last couple of years in 2007, 2008. But we got swept out of those playoffs, and one of those teams was the damn Dodgers, who were loaded up then too. So in the James Loney days, when, you know what I mean? So we've seen this before, and it's worse now than ever. So, it feels to me, if you really want to play with the big boys, you're going to have to at least hit that second luxury tax tier, because I know money doesn't buy you all your wins. You're going to have some things go right for you in a 162 game season, but it certainly gives you a hell of a better chance. You know what I mean?
You can bypass a lot of your mistakes. And I think the issue is that Hoyer is a conservative. I'm just trying to, he operates conservatively. That's his very nature. And as such, now it gives you a high floor, right? I mean, you're going to be 500 pretty much, like with the way he's done it. But it leaves you, and I'm just repeating what I've said too many times, but they have, prior to Tucker, and he is a great player, and we're talking elite, and I think he flew so far under the radar in Houston, because a lot of people, here's the thing, you got him, and a lot of people didn't realize how good he was, myself included, realistically, until I really dug into it. And I think Bregman, without getting into that too much further, is vastly overrated because of what he's done well in the past. Outside of giving you a little extra power, realistically, his total impact, if you look at WAR and some of those other things, is not much greater than Nico Horner's, if at all. And he's a couple years older and way more expensive. So whatever. But Hoyer has assembled a team of good to very good players with no great players. And so their margin, when he talks about outperforming expectations, that's great. But their ability to do that, he not only does he need it, but every team needs it. But when you have Bobby Witt Jr. and Aaron Judge, because and Shohei Ohtani, they all exceeded expectations, but the expectations were so much higher than anybody from the Cubs outside of Tucker. Again, so you can outperform them, but let's say it's 10 or 15%. Well, great. But if you were a 3 WAR expectancy and you get to 3.5 or 4, that's great, but it's half a win or a win versus if you're at 6 and you get to 8. That's 2 extra wins, right? That's
or what if you were at 7 and you got to 5? You're still better than the 3 guy,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So even if you're worse,
even
if you were down, you started from such a high level, and they just don't have the willingness to do that. When he keeps talking about threading the needle, some of this, again, a lot of people want to put it on ownership, but he's also never been willing to lay that big bet, to push it all in, and to just say, to hell with it. And that's something. And again, Theo Epstein did have some larger budgets, but Theo took bigger swings. I think Jed was always the guy who tempered Theo. But now you've lost the big swinger. Again, Jed is kind of that Nico Horner. He doesn't have the pop. He's going to put up really good numbers. He's very solid all around. He's going to be, again, he's giving you good production, whatever we want to call it. But there's never going to be that, Horner's not going to hit 25 home runs. It's just not in his nature. And I think Jed, by his nature, is never going to take that big hack, right, at a 2-strike pitch. He's going to shorten up and just poke one into left and be happy with that, right? That's cool. Oh, it's cool. I got on base. Great. But we're down 4 runs, dude. You dumping a little single in there with 2 outs doesn't do anybody any good.
Exactly. With the 8-hitter up probably too.
That's the thing.
I know it's been frustrating to watch all of Jed's shades of khaki on display, and it's just, we deserve better. We deserve a more exciting team as opposed to the travel ball boys that we get. But tell me what you're working on. I know you got to work early in the morning, so I'll let you go. But what do you got? What do you got working on Cubs Insider? Anything exciting coming up?
Not
spring training, Japan. You do any of that stuff?
Man, I wish I was going to Japan. That would be pretty awesome. But the London, which hearing you're rocking a little ABBA there or whatever. There when I was in London, there's an ABBA. They have this whole sphere, and they have an ABBA, like a hologram, whole performance. You're like, is ABBA actually there? No, it was just a hologram thing, which was kind of fun, and I'm sure they got those in Japan. So that would have been super cool. Now I'm going to go out to spring training a little less than 2 months. So it'll be like close to the end, March 21st through the 25th, I think. And the Cubs got a bunch of home games in that stretch. We'll see. But we're, I don't have to work early. I have to take my son to baseball, high school baseball. He's got to be there at 5:30 in the morning, which is awesome. And he's only got his driver's permit, so he can't just take himself. So I've still got to get him over there. But high school baseball, man, in full swing. And so we'll see. That's been my that's where I was at before this. We were in the cage doing some work. So it's good.
Right on. Well, that's exciting. It's now you have some rooting interest closer to home being out in Indiana. I did want to mention this. The Bleacher Bunch YouTube page is live. It's brand new. It's the old Bricks Behind the Ivy page as we continue our consolidation here on the Bleacher Bunch, the Cubs Fan Network. And it's Jeff here saying, I hear they have a cool new writer at Cubs Insider contributing soon. So I've noticed you have a couple of guys. Jacob Zanola has been working with you guys. He's been a hot new voice on the scene, even though we fight about politics. We're going to have it out in person at some time at the bleachers. It might come to blows, though. I don't know. And then there's but then I got Jeff Rogowskis to back me up. So it'll be 2-on-1. You hear me, Jacob? No, I'm kidding. I kid you, Jacob.
Jeff's going to be doing not a threat piece. So he'll be doing some stuff, 3 up, 3 down.
Sweet.
On Mondays at least, right? And it is what's interesting because we went for a while there. It was like Michael Cantor's doing some stuff, and we got Sean out there running the recaps, but obviously there's no baseball going on, and so it's been largely myself. So it's been nice to kind of downshift a little bit and have. It's just so funny because you get to a certain age and then just you don't have any energy anymore. You know what I mean? When you're sitting there, you're like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed at 9. And then we get, Jacob will be texting me like, oh, I'm writing this up right now. I'm like, all right, dude. Well, you're going to have to either send it to John, who lives out in Phoenix, or just wait for the morning because I'm not looking at shit.
I'm not doing shit. Yeah, exactly.
It's 9:30 at night. I'm old. Like, like you could be my kid. Literally. He's like my, barely older than my daughter. So, but it is nice to have some more youthful energy, some different voices and perspectives coming in. And that's one thing I've always appreciated about it is that while a lot of the opinions that may come through from our different writers are different from mine, right? Is I try my best to not let my voice creep in at all as the editor into what they're doing outside of just cleaning some stuff up, right? It's like I don't need to agree with it. It's going to go up on the page because it's not my right. I mean, it is my site, literally I own it, but it's like I don't want it to just be here's everything that I want to be true, and so so looking forward to getting even additional perspectives and having having a lot of pods come through there, and hopefully we can kind of share that stuff all because I think it's just again it's different voices, different perspectives, all like to the same end, right? We all are
Cub fans. We want the Cubs to win. We want to hang out, have a good time. Yeah, exactly.
And we're bitching about it because we love it, right?
Exactly.
And I think the part of it, Joe Obvious. Obvious Shirts had a little bit of a couple things lately, but that's the thing I think it comes down to is like you can separate. I may not like what the team is doing, but I still love the team. Yeah, right. Like that's it's
and the fans and the colors, and we're suckers for it all. But
right.
Well, brother, go dream Cubby Blue dreams. I'll see you. I'll be writing you in the morning. Big Evan, post my show. I just finished it. I just edited it. It's all ready to go. So, but have a good rest of your night, and we'll have you on again real soon because I love talking Cubs with you, brother.
I'll take it. Hey, have a good rest of the show, man.
All right, thanks, brother.
I'll see you.
So we're going to be right back with Crawly. First, we're going to play a commercial for Patreon. You should subscribe at patreon.com/Bleacher Bunch. It's where you can get all our great shows early and ad-free. And in podcast form, plus perks at every level, including the calendar, which is coming out real soon. It's been ordered. But take a listen to this commercial, and we're going to have Crawly on right after the Cubs Cast Corral. Stick tuned for all of that real quick.
The Son Ranto Show has hired me, a professional voiceover actor, to tell you why you should become a Son Ranto Patreon patron at patreon.com/sonranto. First of all, it's only $1 a month. And if you can't afford $1, I don't even know that the Son Ranto Show wants you as a listener because you're too poor to even hang out with anyway. Also, As a Patreon member, you get the Son Ranto Show ad-free and the Patreon-only podcast called Cubs Pod, which releases daily during the season with bonus episodes all off-season long. Son Ranto Patreon members are also eligible to win a monthly prize, get exclusive Son Ranto Discord page privileges, and there are more perks at every level. Plus, 10% of your Patreon support goes to help the Lost Boys Youth Baseball program as we give back to our community. So what are you waiting for? Spend your hard-earned money on tickets and beer for the Son Ranto Show by subscribing at patreon.com/sonranto. Otherwise, they'll think you're a poor loser. A big, fat, dorky, poverty-stricken loser. Take it from me and by commanding professional voice and become a Son Ranto Patreon supporter right now.
Cubs Cast Corral. Yeah! Welcome to the Cubs Cast Corral. It's a 5-minute roundup of some of the best Cubs podcasts on the planet. Let's start with the Cubs PS Plus podcast. Today is Mike Waller's birthday, and he says the Cubs have a lot of depth options on their pitching side in their $210 million payroll as it currently stands, and sees us doing business with the Padres along with others who see the Cubs dealing some prospects and maybe Javier Assad to San Diego. Lots of options in the bullpen as well to play the matchups with. You got Miller, Hodge, Merriweather, Morgan, and the newly added Presley. And Mike also talks about how Presley is not nearest because he just has more pitches. And even the Iowa Shuttle guys are pretty darn good. On the Locked On Cubs podcast, Sam and Matt are both sick, so they've been switching off episodes a bit. Sam likes Presley at the money they are paying him, but doesn't like how he's been trending recently. They also talked about how Presley was not guaranteed the closer role despite initial rumors, but there should be somebody that has the closer role. Catch my drift? Then on Bricks Behind the Ivy, it was more Sam Olber, as Jeff got a chance to talk to Sam about his time at CubsCon and why every fan should experience it at least once. Sam opened up about how his Cubs fandom took on a new life after stepping away from competitive sports in high school, and he filled the void with the passion and rivalry of baseball. Jeff also shared the story of how he met his wife on a blind date. We're going to have to hear more about that later. And then they dive into a discussion about the Dodgers super team, arguing that while it may hurt the game, it may also lead to bigger viewership numbers through the power of hate watching. On the Chuggo Show, the Chuggo crew takes on the center field position, discussing who's the best at the spot, though PCA doesn't even take the top honor, with Cody saying he'd trade Jackson Merrill straight up for him. Meanwhile, they talked about Presley's welcome moment recorded from his car, and it gives the guys a more human side of Presley. And Luke reminded everybody that he did close out the World Series. He's got a lot of experience, and that Ryan Presley said his main goal is simply to win regardless of the situation or the inning. He also opened up about the tough decision to leave Houston in the first place, and he called Alex Bregman the heartbeat of the Astros clubhouse, although I think that just might have been the banging of a garbage can. Then on the Compound podcast, I finally listened to the CubsCon episode with Ian Happ interviewing Kyle Tucker and found out they were drafted together along with Dansby Swanson. So they're putting back the band together. And he also had Sammy Sosa on. What I found was really interesting. He talked about choking up with 2 strikes and changing his swing depending on the situation. Also having confidence and swagger in clutch moments. He also one-upped Ian when Ian mentioned the fan support at Wrigley, and Sammy said that his support was on another level than Ian's. What, Bleacher Jeff not good enough for you? Oh, and also Dakota Mekis' truck broke down on the way to the Lions game, and the Compound is no longer on John Boy, but now on Odyssey. On the Recap podcast, Gordo said, fans don't care about your $1 billion you spend on the team and your high payroll and everything. They just want to win. And the Cubs should win the division going away this year. Cap says that the cease is the one move he'd make, and Gordon agreed. And the setup man on a show I have not had a chance to listen to yet, Jordan Wicks is going to be on, but he did give a little preview, and he said that Jordan felt like he messed up a little bit last offseason by trying to bulk up too much, possibly blaming the injuries that he suffered last year on that. And that is your Cubs Cast Corral. Welcome back to the Bleacher Bunch show. A lot of great Cubs podcasts out there. I wish I could listen to all of them. I listen to all of them at what I can at 1.75 speed. I still don't have the time to do it all. I just wanted to mention hashtag chance in the chat if you'd like to win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. We've got a little bit more show to go. We got Crawly coming on in 1 second, and then we're going to have Billy DeVore a little bit later after he gets off stage in Cincinnati where he's performing a comedy set. But this guy's got his own theme song, so I'm going to play it.
Story time with Crawly, with Crawly, with Crawly. Story time with Crawly, it's Crawly story time.
Welcome, Crawly. How are you?
Well, I have the same problem. I work out in bulk too much and then I get injured. So, same
Just
problem.
like Jordan Wicks.
Just like Jordan Wicks, working out, get bulked up. When you told me that there was going to be a new ranter calendar, that's why I started bulking up. I thought it was like a swimsuit edition.
You saw, I have last year's right here. I've been looking at it. This is the reason I put this on the front is because you really don't see the front of the calendar too much. You just see it when you buy it. And then the rest of the time it's just hanging with its back to the wall. But you were a cover boy last year, 2024. Look at that sucker.
I was the cover boy. That was from when the Cubs comeback win in the 9th inning off Devin Williams, now a New York Yankee. And that was Eric Wheelo talking crap pretty much the entire game. And then the Cubs came from behind and won. So damn straight the shirt was coming off.
I've been at a few walk-offs with you over the last few pretty exciting games. We saw that one walk-off where we called the entire game from Crawly land seats in the upper deck. And then we were at this walk-off, which we kind of miraculously came back. And this is with a team that wasn't all that exciting to watch. We've seen a couple real good ones. We do go quite a bit, though.
I mean, I think we should do some more live game casts. I think that was a lot of fun. Just doing that just for, just for a good time. But, we're about 2 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting. And the hot stove is kind of bubbling up. A lot of relievers have been coming off the board. And it's been, I think, a pretty exciting time. And I'm very curious to see what this Cubs team is going to do.
Yeah, well, tell me about your feelings about some of the new guys, like Ryan Presley just had his, presser, the Presley presser. Say that 25 times fast. But the Cubs have switched out a lot of guys. He being one of them, which gives you some options at the back of the pen. You've gone and gotten like that dude from Cleveland, Eli Morgan. You saw Jack Neely at the end of the year look kind of interesting. They've, the back end of the rotation, even. I mean, well, let's start with Presley.
Well, I mean, we're going to have a new Fly the W podcast drop tomorrow, and we actually played some clips from his presser. And it's interesting because to me, he was a guy that got demoted. He was the closer for the Astros. It was actually, I think in 2022, he was on the mound when they won, and it was Kyle Tucker who caught the final out. And he did nothing wrong, but he ended up losing his job to Josh Hader. And so in that situation, he handled it like a professional, but you could tell, like, from some of the things that he was saying, that he's hungry to get back into that closer's role. He doesn't think he's done. And he has some experience with Tommy Hotovy. They were in the Boston Red Sox organization together. So here's a little fun fact for your listeners. The Cubs only have 2 guys from their opening day roster last season against the Rangers in Arlington that are still in the organization, not just like in the organization. Do
That's
you know
wild.
2 starters are that are, or 2 bullpen guys that are still in the organization?
Let me think about it.
Let's see if your listeners know.
Merriweather?
Merriweather is one.
And oh God, what's his name? No, Little wasn't there at opening
Yes,
day.
it was Luke Little.
It was Little? All right.
Those are the only 2 left. Every single other person that was in that bullpen that night is out of the organization.
Well, they're good because they freaking sucked.
Yes. But if you're looking at this, when you look at the bullpen and you look at the spots and who you have, the depth is a lot more than it's been the last couple of years. And finally, Jed has realized that if you lose 7 to 8 to 10 games in the first 3 months in the 9th inning, that's going to come back and bite you in the ass. It just is. I'm sorry. Games count the same as April as they do in August and September. And if you sit there and you put we've seen it the last 2 seasons, Danny, where you
fall too far back.
You fall too far back. Now you have to sit there and you can't make any mistakes from June on. And you can't have any injuries. And by that time, it just isn't going to happen. You see it all the time. They ran out of gas in 2023. In 2024, the Brewers just completely, blew away with it. And if you just would have had, just even like a mediocre bullpen in the first 3 months, you still could have been in the wild card hunt.
Yeah, well, they still might be mediocre. Like, we're not totally sure that you got some unproven guys, but I like, even some of the maybe the Iowa shuttle dudes could impress. Porter Hodge, Luke, he seemingly is going to make the team. We were crowning him closer. I'm not really ready to totally do that. He looked great, but if you slot him back, that gives him room to grow. Yes. You look at a guy like Ryan Presley, and let me put up his StatCast. We had the other guys up before, but Presley's is impressive. This guy can pitch. He throws a curveball, he throws a slider, he throws a 4-seam. And now it's not like the fastest pitch in the world. I know that they're talking about his velocity is down or whatever, and that's going to get him his Hector Neris comparisons. But the difference is with Presley is he's got a bunch of pitches that he throws it that he doesn't have to just rely on one. And then if that's not working, he's got nothing else he could do. He's a freaking fine pitcher. Is he going to be like the top 5 closer in the major leagues? Probably not, but he's got potential to be at that back end of the bullpen, giving you really good options with Porter Hodge, with, let's say, Luke Little comes back, with maybe even Ben Brown. People say they see closer material of him. You could have a new Nasty Boys thing going on at the back end of that bullpen.
And we're not talking about Billy DeVore, right?
No, he'll be by as soon as he gets booed off the stage wherever he's performing.
Maybe he'll be in the swimsuit edition of the Ranter calendar.
Oh, God, nobody did. I'm trying to sell these things, Crawly.
I just, like I said, I really, truly feel that, this is the year where you're going to see the youth movement of the Cubs take over. All those guys. I talked to Sam Dykstra on the Fly the W podcast. There are 7 Cubs in the top 100 prospects. That's tied with the Mariners, I believe, with the most for any team. And out of those 7, 6 of those guys are in Iowa. They are ready to come up and contribute. And the guys that got experience last year, your Luke Littles, your Porter Hodges, you saw what PCA did once he got a certain number of at-bats, how his second half went. Michael Busch broke Rizzo's record for first baseman. These guys are hopefully going to take a step forward. I mean, do we know that's going to happen for sure? Of course we don't know that, but you hope that this, and I feel like with this team, I've seen the changes that Craig Counsell makes. And when you get into a leadership position like that, Craig Counsell couldn't hire his own coaches. The staff was kind of already there when he got in there. There was nothing he could do. So he sat there and he was kind of like, okay. And he kind of got the lay of the land. I think this coaching staff, I think this is where we're really going to see Craig Counsell kind of make a difference. I think I can tell you, I know I'm probably a homer. Everyone knows it, but I am really, me. I know. I am really excited about the fact that this is going to be happening. I think this is going to be a fun team to watch. As disappointing as last year was, I think this year is going to be a better team. And the main thing for me, I want to see how Seiya adapts to the DH role. I know he's kind of a little bit grumbly about that. But
his agent is anyway.
Either way, I hope that works out well. And then, I feel like that they have a better starting pitcher this year. Let's see what happens. I just feel that there's a lot going on. I think Cub fans should be excited, and we'll see what happens. And I think there's still moves to be made. You talked about the Padres and talking about Michael King and Dylan Cease and some of these guys. And, I keep saying I do not want Owen Casey in a trade in case Kyle Tucker doesn't sign an extension. Now, Kyle Tucker signs an extension, you can trade Owen Casey, but you need that left-handed power bat in right field. And if it's not going to be Tucker, then it's definitely got to be Owen Casey. But if you're telling me Kevin Alcantara and Javier Assad for, 1 year of Michael King, I would be absolutely fine with that.
Yeah, and pushing all in on Jed's last year seems like something that might happen just because that's just how things happen, And hey, I'm fine with it. I would take one great year right now because hey, next year is not guaranteed for any of us. And no. I'm just kind of sick of this crap. Like if we have to do it, just be like, fine, just buy us a team. Let's throw it all out on the table. Let's do it. I don't think they'll totally do that. My fear is that it'll be like last year, you end up with half measures, and you'll just peek over the luxury tax and be like, whoops, and then they'll never get it again.
I feel that the depth of this team all the way around now, obviously with third, you're really banking a lot on Matt Shaw, but Birdie's a serviceable guy. He's not going to be a guy that he ain't making an all-star game. How about that? Yeah. But if he can sit there and take some at bats from Shaw, that would be good, and again, Matt Shaw is not the guy you need to be the hero. And that's the thing I think people have to remember. Ryan Sandberg started his career 1 for 31
as a third baseman.
And everyone was mad at PCA when he came up late in 2023 and he didn't do well when he basically got like 2 at-bats a game. It's going to take a little bit of time. And so I hope that fans are patient with Matt Shaw. I saw it with my Cubs convention.
Yeah, sure. We'll be patient. That's our thing.
but again, he's not a bust if he has a up and down season. I think, he's a guy that a lot of people are really high on. When he played in the Premier 12 tournament, right? Like all the coaches were raving about this kid. So just give him some time. It's the jump from AAA to the majors is a bigger jump than it's been our whole lives.
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
Well,
and so
I think I heard, I've heard this a bunch from a bunch of different people who work in the minors and major leagues, like coaches. Rachel Folden, I think, is the last one I heard say it was that the distance between rookie ball and AAA is less of a jump of skill level than AAA to the major leagues.
Yeah, and so part of the problem, and this goes back to Rob Manfred hating baseball, is when they started contracting the minor leagues. And so basically they're kind of moving these guys up really quick for the next batch to come up. They don't have as much time to develop. And so some of these guys are kind of getting stunted in their growth, guys that probably shouldn't be moved up. And so there's a lot of issues. And I hope there's no more contraction of the minor leagues. We don't need any more, but it is a big jump, and the talent level is just out of this world. And so you get your young guys, which is good. They're coming up quicker. You know what I mean? So like a fact like Matt Shaw is like knocking at the door already. I mean, that probably wouldn't have happened 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to waste those bullets. I often have felt that look at the Cubs, and they had their veteran stars, but the Brizzo, man, they were young guys then, and a lot of the Cubs were pretty young. Mike Waller's here in the chat saying, thanks for the birthday wishes. Happy birthday, Mike Waller.
Happy birthday.
I think he's 52, 51, 52. I don't know. He's getting up there. Me too. We all are.
I know. We were talking about that. They're going to start putting us out to pasture pretty soon. We're just going to be sitting there talking about Brian LaHare's great first half, and no one's going to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like Brian LaHoo, and then some guy will walk by with a Brian LaHare jersey, and it actually might be Brian LaHare.
This is a true to God story, and this just throws you like how we sometimes in our heads, like I still think I'm 21 and I'm not. I'm closer to 50 than 21, like knocking on the door. But I was out in spring training one time, and I was going in the backfields, and I was watching pitcher fielding practice, and I saw Andrew Chafin, who's still on the market. And I see Chafin, and I look at him, and the first thing I see is I said, dude, you look just like Rod Beck. And Chafin looks at me and goes, who the hell's Rod Beck? And I was like, the shooter, come on. But then all of a sudden I look back, I'm like, in 1998, Andrew Chafin was probably like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I can't imagine Andrew Chafin even being a baby. You're like, don't you feel like he always looked like that? He always had a handlebar mustache and Bleacher Jeff's hair.
Right. And I'm sitting there looking at him, and I just, for some reason, I keep thinking, I'm like, I'm the same age as this guy. He'll for sure remember Rod Beck, and did not. Yeah.
Well, we don't have Billy DeVore for very long. He's do you mind if I bring him on during your segment, because he's just joining us from a comedy show, and oh, look, there's clapping in the background. It seems like the crowd is just hopping there at where are you right now, Billy?
Same spot as last time. I'm at Chameleon. And I'll tell you what, that applause, not for me.
I was going to say, maybe it was because he left the stage.
Thank God he's gone.
I walked off and immediately got on. They're like, good, he stopped screaming those slurs.
So I got to ask you, Billy, you signed a reliever, Taylor Rogers. I guess probably Cincinnati is rejoicing with this news that maybe the team is trying to add guys to ensure that your bullpen isn't terrible.
Yeah, well, they weren't terrible last year either. So basically, they are just adding upon pieces and subtracting guys who were there on minor league deals going into spring training, and then going, hey, let's spend a few more bucks. Let's actually trade for some prospects. Let's actually trade some of these prospects we have and get some people to win now. I know it's a crazy idea. It's wild, but we're doing it finally.
Well, Billy, one thing you guys didn't do that I was kind of glad you didn't, there was a lot of talk about Luis Robert from the South Side maybe going to Cincinnati. And I know, obviously, like most of that White Sox team, they didn't achieve. Everyone thought that would be the next great dynasty, like the Cubs or the Astros those years. But, oh, man, I did not want to see Luis Robert in a Cincinnati Red uniform.
I didn't either, because I didn't want him to hang out at Club IL. I didn't want him behind the red velvet rope being like, excuse me, no, sprained ankle, 60 days. So, and that was the risk that you have with him. And considering that the next 2 years would be $20 million apiece, that should be nothing for the Cubs, but it's not, Ricketts. But for the Reds, I mean, that's a huge financial commitment. So I'm super glad too. But also, I think that the talks will continue on. I mean, think about Dylan Cease. He didn't get traded until March 13th last year. So there's a chance that it might still happen. I just don't know if the Reds are willing to give up the prospect capital. And if I'm Nick Kroll, I'm not going there either. And Austin Hayes is a solid addition.
Yeah, and you also got Gavin Lux.
Oh, dude. Yeah, Gavin Lux is going to mash in that ballpark. That ballpark's built for lefties. So he's going to have a killer year and a bounce back. I mean, he was hitting the ball a lot harder in the second half. I think he had a WRC plus of like 138 in the second half because he changed his approach. And he changed, the very basic thing. He said, I'm swinging harder. Who would have thought that would work? I don't know.
Now, Billy, I kind of people aren't going to believe this. I picked the Reds to finish first place last season, and I had the Cubs finishing in second place. Injuries really, really racked your starting pitching. How are those guys doing as far as their recovery, and does that look to be a strength for the Reds this coming season?
Now, with the starting pitching was towards the second half of the year. The thing that really wrecked us was the beginning of the year. Losing TJ Friel, losing Matt McClain. That is 7.7 WAR that was missing from 2023 to 2024. Matt McClain's a beast. Matt McClain is the dude. When people are talking about Ellie, it's amazing what he can do on the field. It's, speed, homers, led the league in strikeouts. Matt McClain has just a great approach, mashes, and is fast, and a great glove at second. So having him back fully healthy, combined with TJ Friel, combined with Austin Hayes not having sick kidneys, combined with Jake Fraley returning to the mean, which is a guy who bats 265, 270 with an on-base percentage around 330. And
you guys have an entire team of guys who sound like they belong to the Moose Lodge, who just come up and like mash homers in the 100-degree Cincinnati River heat. It's just, and you had our number last year. The Cubs were 5-8 versus Cincinnati last year, and we won more games than you did. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, but we beat the Reds last year. Maybe we're a wild card team, for example. If we're 8-5, we maybe make the playoffs.
Well, we had your number, but then we went like 1-40 against the Brewers, and then we were a couple under against the Cards, and then a couple under against the Buccos, which made no sense. So there's a lot that they have done that has been, very much in between the lines. And I forget who said this, but I totally agree with them. The Reds' ceiling is raised by if the prospects can take the next step, like Matt McClain staying healthy, Ellie De La Cruz not striking out as much, Jeimer Candelario staying healthy and being the dude he was in Washington in the first half of 2023. But what they
and
have
for the
done,
Cubs, don't forget the Cubs.
That's right. He was hanging out at Club IL when he was with the Cubs. That's right. He was getting bottle service, dude. But with all the marginal moves like Taylor Rogers, that's great. Bringing in a bunch of other, some minor league contracts, and then Brady Singer. We've raised the floor, and that's guaranteed.
Oh, we've heard that
before. The floor
before.
is raised. So, but have you heard it that they're going to let the kids play and figure it out too? On top of that,
well, so, I mean, you got. I mean, how big of a difference is it going to be with your new skipper?
Dude, Terry's the man. I mean, dude, I would listen to David Bell speak, and I'm like, is this guy going to do my taxes or manage my baseball team? and I hear Terry Francona, and I'm like, I'm going to run through that wall. Like, he's a baseball dude through and through. I was talking with someone within the organization in the media department, and they said having Terry is like going back to that baseball is black and white. You can or you can't. And we didn't have that with David Bell. We have actual leadership with Terry. And I was talking to this dude, and then I just punched a hole through his desk. It was awesome.
I'm sure he was happy about that. But yeah, I mean, we remember Terry Francona in 2016 managing Cleveland. And boy, it was, just the respect that he commands from just the game in general, just from everybody, like not even like Reds fans or anything else, but just in general, everything he's done. I mean, he's a great addition, and he's not Tony La Russa old.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a Hall of Fame baseball person. Yeah. Terry's never driven his scooter drunk into a
Hall of
tree.
Famer type baseball.
And Terry,
not yet.
Hey, wait till he gets to Cincinnati and rides his scooter with me, okay? The scooter gang's alive and well down at the banks.
You got to give him one of those. Have
you had a chance to give him?
You got to give him a Sky Rosa.
Oh, dude. I mean, look, the big thing was his health, and he lost 60 pounds. I am here to ruin it. Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, but Grader's now has Skyline flavored ice cream.
Oh.
Check out my socials. I Sky Rose in it. Okay.
I saw it.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, no, it was a disturbing video. It really was. I want to announce right here is that I got the schedule up here. We talked about this, Billy, is that on September the 20th is a Saturday, also Dan Nielsen's birthday. Cubs are in Cincinnati. We're going to have a big-ass Cincinnati end-of-the-year party out there. We're going to freaking party hard at a Chicago bar that's where is it? I forget where.
Binsky's in Camp Washington. I have some exciting news about that. We have a sponsor.
Awesome.
For the live pod. Bang. Cincy Light, baby.
Cincy Light sponsoring the sucker. And This is a place, Binsky's Bar, where you do shots of Malort out of an ashtray. Like, it doesn't get better than this. This is going to be the party of the century. We're going to go to Binsky's. We're going to have a live podcast. I'll play a couple tunes. We'll go out to the ball game, have an incredible time. That's September 20th, so mark your calendars now.
Did you also see what they did when we got like a foot and a half of snow here? They took an ashtray and they picked up the snow and made a snowball, put the snowball in the ashtray and poured Malort over it to chill the shot of Malort.
Ooh, snow cone Malort. I like the way they're thinking out there in Cincinnati.
Look, you guys might be the Windy City, but we're the Nasty Natty, so we step it up.
I love me some Cincinnati, and I love me some you, Billy. And I just want to wish you a great set tonight. Break a leg, my friend.
It already happened. It's done.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, you're done.
Yeah.
I thought you were still going on.
No, I'm done. I'm in and out. I did a new joke about DEI programs and then how they relate to wiffle ball. And did
you a joke try it out?
No, God, no. It did not go well. So it's new. So I was figuring that out. You know how it is. You're just tinkering and you're figuring things out. And
dude, I'm still trying to live down jokes I told 14 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, once you live long enough and say enough things that are on video and on albums and stuff, you know, this shit follows you around, my friend.
Yeah, I feel you. This is my 14th year in comedy. So I recorded an album in 2020, and half of it I'm like, ooh, okay.
Comedy doesn't age. That's the thing about it. It's like it's always of the moment, which is what's good about it, which just means we cannot get replaced by AI yet.
Give it time. Did you see the George Carlin bot?
Oh God, no.
No, is it?
It's pretty
I'm
spot
sure,
on.
Yeah.
So it's,
nope.
The other thing,
I'm going to make a Crawly bot just to bring on the show.
I don't know if you can get
fill
AI
it full of Cubs knowledge.
I don't know if you can get AI shirtless and passed out in the corner, but
sure, they're working on it. That's what the new that's what the new Chinese one can do. That's why.
Oh, there you go.
That's what is it called? DeepSeek. Yeah, that's a DeepSeek project right there. And I want to bring this up real quick because I want actually both of your opinions on this. I don't know if you heard this, Billy, but the Cubs have a new section in the bleachers. Ooh. It comes with, I think, some beer and a hot dog or whatever, and you get to sit in center field on top of another section. But there it is. It's called the Yard.
That's sick.
And it looks like you could just stand around, and what do they say? It's going to be like $175, $200 a head. I don't know what that comes with.
It's not all you can eat, but it is all you can drink. So basically, you can either have a hot dog, a small Chevelle burger, or like, I forget, something else. But it does have all you can drink. But, Danny, I remember very clearly that I did a round table. You hosted one at G-Man Tavern years ago. And it was me and Sarah and Joe Kilgallen. I'm trying to remember. I think Corey was there. We were all there, and I said the same thing then that I say now, which is I don't mind them doing this stuff. I think it looks really cool. I think it's well done. But don't tell me you can't afford player X and then turn around and build this another. I mean, how many of these things, how many W clubs and Catalina clubs and the Yard and the Hornitos? I mean, Jesus H. Christ, the Motorola patch. Okay, if you're going to sit there and tell me you're breaking even, no, you keep asking for these revenue streams. Everyone keeps saying, oh, okay, that'll lead us to getting more free agents. Where are they?
Wheelbarrows full of cash was the promise originally.
Because you get a return on that investment. You don't get a return on an investment for a player that's 3 years, $80 million. You don't get that. You know what you get your return on investment is what we just looked at. The fucking Front Gate Club at Great American Ballpark. It's the same shit. It's, we'd rather build something in our ballpark that lasts longer than some human who's going to help us win a championship and reach the top of the mountain.
And it's all about just like getting more money for what you already are putting on. So it's like, if like I have a 40-seat theater, if all of a sudden I'm just like, we're going to replace this section with a bunch of thrones where you get, beer bats and you get to sit there getting drunk the whole show. But I'm going to charge you $500 and that makes me more money than just selling you a regular $25 seat. Well, then it makes sense that you're doing that because you're just maximizing your profits. But like Crawly said, this stuff is ending up in the pocket of Republicans and not on the ball fields. We're seeing them nickel and dime, be crying about the luxury tax and acting like it's a freaking de facto salary cap, and it's not. No. You've seen other teams blow through it. You're charging the third highest ticket in baseball, and you don't have, so you should have the third highest payroll. Period. End of story.
And your ballpark is protected by being a national landmark. So fuck off.
The concerts that are in there, the
hockey
games, the Winterland, all the
college
shit
football.
Yeah, they're doing it all around there, and not to mention the fact that they own a bunch of the buildings that take the runoff business from the Cubs game anyway, including the freaking hotel. Yeah.
Oh my God,
DraftKings Sportsbook. That place is empty a lot, though. Just saying.
That bubble's
it's just
that bubble's going to pop soon.
I will tell you, though.
You can do it on your phone. Why you got to go in there and do it?
The food and the drink and the ambiance is pretty cool in there. I'm surprised it's not bigger.
That's the same with the BetMGM next to Great Americans. It's a cool spot.
They opened a giant bar into a neighborhood that has 1 million bars that people already like. So I think that you're only going to go there to watch the game and to gamble. And,
Have you walked by it on like a UFC fight night? Because that's when those places thrive.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I mean, that's how the BetMGM is. It's mostly a ghost town unless it's fight night, and then it is just Brody next to Braxton, elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, talking down to their girlfriend like, "Your property now, Trump said so." It's like all of those people betting on the Irish dude who's trying not to get deported now because he's not an actual citizen, but he just fought. So that's how you sum up fight night.
Well, that's the rough thing, I think, about those like dens of gambling is that, maybe these people aren't really that they'd rather go somewhere else than in there. I mean, it's just been empty oftentimes when I've walked by, and it certainly looks empty because it's ginormous.
Sure.
And so even another bar that, there's 25 people in there, like your show tonight, it's 25 people back there. It sounds like clapping for everybody, right? In a small room. In a small room, though, that's not bad. Like you feel the love. 25 people feels okay. In DraftKings, 25 people in there feels like a ghost town.
Danny, though, I would say that you need to do a weather report during the Super Bowl. Go out there during the Super Bowl, maybe about an hour before game time, and let's see what DraftKings looks like.
Yeah. No, I would like to see if it is hopping in there. That would be like the time to test it out. But
also, one more thing before I leave. Sorry, just one more thing. Like, can we just stop this narrative? And it's now over a century old that baseball is dying and that baseball is dead. Because last year, Major League Baseball posted $12.2 billion in total revenue across the board. Get the fuck out of here. People don't watch baseball. People don't care about baseball. It's a dying sport. The numbers say otherwise, and the attendance spiking like it has in the past couple years says otherwise. So can we just lay this narrative to rest?
Well, I think it was even more than that, though. I'm looking back in the chat here that somebody even had a higher number than that. Could somebody tell me what it is? Because we got. I see that Guy Sirius says it's $4 billion per team. I don't know if that's hyperbole.
No. He was saying I made $4 billion on E-Trade, but let's break even with my favorite team. He's making fun of owners.
Oh, okay. So, I agree. I mean, Wrigley Field specifically is packed constantly. The players all know that it's a special place. They're like, I can't believe it's a Wednesday at 1:00, and this place is freaking up. And did you see that they're making a lot of money?
Did you see that at the Winter Classic? Instead of the beer bats, they had the beer hockey sticks. I mean, you're basically paying $50 for two 16-ounce Bud Lights.
$50. You could buy like 4 cases of Bud Light for $50. It's insane that people pay, but they do because they want the stupid hockey stick.
Bingo. Friend of the pod, John Holmes, did that. I mean, he was at the Winter Classic. He bought the hockey stick. He's like, it's expensive. And I was like, I hope you put bleach in there and wash it out and put it on your wall because that was expensive.
And not had Johnny Onomatopoeia try to play drums with it. That was one of the greatest things at the end of Rancher. It's like 2 a.m. That game took forever.
Oh my gosh!
Come out playing. Johnny's playing drums with your poor beer bats. Cracked in half. You held those the whole game too.
I did, and that was the drunkest and not drunkest I've ever been in my life. Where we had been drinking so much for so long that when we got back to your apartment, I was like, I think I'm sober. And then I went to the bathroom and I went, oh no, I'm hammered.
Yeah, you drank yourself sober hammered. I've been there. It's sobered.
Yeah, sobered.
Then what would you call what Wheelo was that night?
Eric, just wheeloed.
Yeah, he was wheeloed. Yeah,
he was wheeloaded.
What was pretty amazing is that's the night that he was holding the beer bats and he went down the stairs. He slipped. It was very slippery, but that's not why he fell. But he slipped down and he managed. I think it was because he was so drunk that he didn't really react. Like normally you'd stiffen up and react, but instead he kept the beer bats in the air, and it was almost like one of those aerodynamic coffee mugs, the no spill mugs that you could have in your car that kind of go with the bumps.
I thought it was more like the inflatables of the used car lots. The inflatables at the used car lots were some.
Oh, he looks like that for sure.
Yeah, the wacky waving inflatable Art Man Tube Man.
Yeah, well, he looks like that anyway. I mean, Eric kind of resembles more than anybody else I know anyway. He looks like one of those wacky inflatable guys. We should have him on the show instead of talking trash about him behind his back.
We're not talking trash. We're talking about how he fucking.
What do you mean behind his back? This is live on the internet, Chief.
No, he fell on his back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was hilarious though. I couldn't believe how he kept the bats in the air, being so drunk. Oh, and not end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
But that's youth for you. That'll do it for you every time. But yeah, Joey says what such a fun night. It really was. We're gonna do it again. We thought we had a date, and now it seems like that date might not work. So we'll try something else. Ranter Fest. It's certainly not going to be when I want it to be, but it'll be at some point. We promise we'll have it. But the September 20th thing is for sure.
For sure. That's in the books.
And yeah, that's in the books. So if anything, we'll do that.
Tell me when Ranter Fest is, and I'll make sure that Chris and I come back out. So.
Well, we were gonna do it when Boston was in town, but it kind of got a little vetoed because that's going to be a little bit crazy of a weekend.
Ticket prices through the roof.
Yeah,
you're not going to pull that off.
So we were thinking maybe in August in either Baltimore on the August 1st and 2nd, or against Pittsburgh in the middle of August. Maybe Pittsburgh probably would be the best move, and maybe we can get Brian out. Brian Ziegler. Our Pirates fan correspondent, and Zach Funk maybe could come.
Well, and
do some comedy, do some rock.
Another thing,
Crawly take his shirt off.
Oh, now I'll take my shirt off if Crawly takes his off. That's the rules now.
Doing mud wrestling this year.
Yeah. Another news with the new Nasty Boys. We finally have a third co-host. So his name's Jake. He's been our Seattle correspondent. He moved back to Cincinnati. So.
Nice.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it's a great show. And you guys always do it together in the room with each other, which I think is really cool. That's, Crawly and I can't really stand to look at each other in person, so we never have done the show like sitting next to each other in reality. But I like that about your show.
We did do a couple in your office.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
We did do a couple in your office.
We've done them in the office. We've done them at the ball game. We've done them all over the place. But
road trip into Detroit.
Yeah, on a scooter in Detroit where I'm almost dying and breaking my teeth. But Billy, I love your show. Listen to the new Nasty Boys. I'll let you get back to your public, who probably wants to beat the crap out of you for the things you just said on stage.
It's fine. I've dealt with it before.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you got those muscles.
That's not what they're called. Okay.
Love you, brother.
Love you, boys. Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon, Billy. All right. God, I hate talking about the fucking Reds. 5-8.
Yeah, no good.
Yeah, I mean, you got to improve that.
And I just hate that ballpark. It just doesn't, it's one of those ballparks like Miami and in Phoenix where it just it always just goes to shit.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, exactly. I've had some really good times though in that ballpark. I mean, that's where that fight happened. The Aroldis Chapman,
Anthony Rizzo.
I've seen a lot of games there because my wife's mom lives there. We go out there quite often, and I'm really looking forward to that 920. That Binsky's bar is incredible. It's a Chicago bar. The guy grew up in Chicago. He lives in Cincinnati now, and he wanted to, so he's got the old style. He's got the Malort. And it's just a really nice place. They even do on alternate Fridays or something. They do it like a big meat raffle where you can, I guess, win a bunch of meat.
That's big in Wisconsin. They do that in Wisconsin too. The meat raffles are huge.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. No wonder the lifespan is shorter up there. So the only other Cubs kind of thing I wanted to ask you about, Crawly, is the uniforms. I haven't really had a time to weigh in on these yet, because I haven't been on the show. I've been putting up my show, the Mannequins Ball, over at Trapdoor Theater, but I'm gonna put them up here. Baby blue, you got the on these ones anyway. You got the number that's kind of on the right breast, and I'm gonna call it the horseshoe logo on the left breast, horseshoe Ubs logo, and then you got the hat, which is the horseshoe Ubs hat. In the blue and white pattern. I like what Joe did to it, put the red bill on it. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But let me tell you, you like it. You broke the news of these, in fact, I think.
Yeah,
one of the first ones out there finding out about it.
Yeah, I found out that they were going to have that thing at the Blues Club, that they were going to be doing the reveal there. But I would say more than anything, I think they look cool. It reminds me there was the last time they did the baby blue powder blues, not in a retro jersey, was in 1982. And so they had like the baby blue with the pinstripe with the Angry Cub that's behind me logo on them. But they had those types in the 70s the entire time. I don't have a problem with them, but I will tell you the thing that is amazing is that guitar bear. That I think, let's be honest though, that was an XRT thing forever. And it's not on the uniform, but they had sweatshirts, jackets, and now there's it's a batting practice helmet, hat. And so I'm literally, I already bought the sweatshirt. I want the hat. I want everything with that bear with the guitar on it is just badass.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a picture of it here so that everybody can see it in a second. Yeah, I mean, it feels kind of like a money grab to me. I mean, it obviously is. I tell you, to me, it's a little busy and it looks like the Expos. Like the first thing I saw when I'm just giving you first thought. The first thought when I saw it was that looks like the Expos. And then the next thing I thought was it looks like the Phillies in the 1980s. And then I was like, oh, it kind of, if they're going to do pants like that, it'll look like pajamas. But I guess they're not wearing powder blue pants with those, according to what I heard Dakota Mekas and Hap talking about, that they're going to wear white pants with those.
It took me, I wasn't originally impressed with the Wrigleyville, the City Connects, and then I really grew to like them. So I think, maybe give it a little bit of time. I'll just say that my suggestion, if you went to CubsCon, they had on the second floor all these cool rooms, and it's sad that things, so much is happening that sometimes people miss the little things. Ed Hardick had some sessions, Miguel Esparza did one, and then they bring out a lot of the old like game used jerseys from 1940s, 50s, 60s. If I would, rather than have a new jersey, I would rather they do a retro, and one retro every year for the next 10 years. Like for me, that would just be a killer if they did a 1960s or the 84 ones that they just didn't have the buttons. It just was the pullover. Like I would love
pullover with the V-neck.
Yeah. I would love they do something like that more than coming out with new uniforms all the time. That's just my opinion, but I do like it. I will buy it, but you all already knew that.
Well, I got the picture of the bear guitar here. What do you think?
Hey, there it is. There he is.
Got an acoustic guitar. He's got big long fingernails. What is that? A grizzly?
Bear jamboree, right? Yeah, that's a big grizzly bear.
Didn't he play at Showbiz Pizza? Is that
Billy
is?
Bob.
No, that's with the gorilla. And no, I'm just kidding. Here's the actual guy. Now he's giving me aardvark face. That's my first problem with this guitar bear. He's got that, the kangaroo logo from what's the Cubs kangaroo from the 30s, maybe 20s.
Yeah.
It's giving me that. So he's got kangaroo beak face. That's my pretty much my only problem. This is the coolest part of it. It's got kind of like the lightning guitar. It looks like a Strat maybe. That is the coolest part. It's just overall Expos. And the horseshoe. What's with the horseshoe? It's like the Colts. Like, what are we doing here? I think that's a horseshoe.
Yeah, that is a horseshoe. It looks like a horseshoe. But like I said, take a look if you can find the batting helmet one with that Cub. I mean, it's really phenomenal. I like I said, the guitar guy is my favorite, and that's what they're going to use for batting practice. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, it is definitely cool. I like that they're like kind of leaning into the rock and rollness of Chicago as
Blues,
well.
Yeah.
The Blues, and I saw they pissed St. Louis off too, which is kind of funny. They said something, I believe it was on the Chuggo show, and they asked, like, how the Dodgers are like the evil empire now. They're certainly the favorites of the National League by far. And we kind of hate the Dodgers. Everybody hates the Dodgers. I think they've got a big target on their back. But if you had an NLCS, which was Cardinals Dodgers, who do you go for?
Dodgers. I would go Dodgers. I mean, I just, it's.
Tell us in the chat because I'm interested.
I would say I don't have
to. Most of us say Dodgers.
I wouldn't know because, okay, so like, let's say the Dodgers going to go, or the Cardinals going to go on to win the World Series. I mean, then you got to hear about 12 rings and they're not going to shut up about it.
Yeah, Jeff says Dodgers not even close. Terry E. Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are also like a classic team. You know, they got the Brooklyn, they got Jackie Robinson, they've got Vin Scully, and
their
I hate
fans
their
fans are awful. We're not going to deny that. But something about Cardinals fans are just so insufferable that if they win another one, it's just gonna be like, oh God, it's like we did it the right way, the Cardinal way, blah 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 blah. We know when to stand. It's so much, you know what I mean? It's just like Dodgers fans are just obnoxious and want to fight, like they're like angry drunks. But Cardinals fans are just like so condescending and think their shit doesn't stink. I can't have them win another World Series.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if the Cardinals Devil Magic was just an over thing, and that, like kids that are like my sister just had a kid. And he grows up and he becomes a baseball fan, and his whole life as a kid to 18, 20 years old, the Cardinals are always bad and they're just laughable. The Cardinals are always in last place. Even they're worse than the Pirates, and the Cardinal way's just over. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, no, I'd be all about
that.
Or if the Cubs win a World Series before the Cardinals do.
Yeah. Well, they already did.
Right. Again, like another one before they do.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It'd be great.
Yeah. It would be nice because, we're just so used to them, having that devil magic, but it's been transferred now to the Brewers, who keep winning regardless of having dudes that you've never heard of.
Absolutely.
On their team.
Yep. They're scouting and development
and losing their manager.
But see, that's the thing, is it all comes down, especially when you talk about the smaller market teams, it comes down to drafting, scouting, and development. And the Cardinals used to be at the best at it, and they've fallen behind big time on it. And the Brewers are way ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just have a couple quick announcements, but first I'll let you go, Crawly, because you don't have to stick around for these. But I will say this: you're getting a calendar, my friend. It's coming.
All right, and I can't wait to see it. I'm sure it'll be good, and I appreciate all the ranters out there. Always a great time talking to all you guys.
Yeah, dude, we're obviously going to have you on a bunch this year, and because you are always part of this Bleacher Bunch, even if you don't want to be. Long hours, no pay. So, but thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I will, at the end of this, play the video of you trampling a special needs child to try to get to the front row of the Cubs Con. Yet once again, I have video of this poor lad on the floor.
I did not knock him down.
Bleeding.
No way. He was behind me by 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah, I know he was behind you, but I did run over him with your cooler. So you kind of did something bad.
That was you, the Mad Camera cooler.
Hey, I had to get to the front row. Otherwise, I wouldn't get to get a seat next to you. So, well, thanks for coming on. We'll definitely do it again. And peace, my friend.
Spagog.
Spagog. All right, just a couple of things before we get out of here. I have sent the calendars. They should be here within the first couple weeks of February. By my experience, they sometimes come a little bit early, and that's a good thing, right? Even though they don't start till March. But just like a quick note, got a friend of ours at the theater. He's having some really bad health problems. Young guy, too. I mean, I know he doesn't look that young in the picture, but his name's Bob, and he could really use our help right now because he's had an emergency surgery on his brain. And I'm going to just drop this GoFundMe in the chat. His name is Bob Wilson. He's a great actor at our theater. I know he doesn't. He's a big Cub fan, too, as well. And the name of the GoFundMe, if you want to look it up, is Help Bob Heal, Support Bob Wilson's recovery journey. So we're all just really pulling for him. A lot of people, we've been kind of rallying the troops at the theater now to try to give Bob the support he needs. But we're going to Poland, so it's been tough. We're doing a lot of stuff, but we got people checking on Bob. So if you can give something right now to Bob's recovery, that'd be great. Thank you so much. And at Trapdoor Theater right now, I'd love it, especially if you can come on February 8th, if you came to see Mannequins Ball. That is a show. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. It's all about these mannequins that come to life one day a year, and a human finds their ball that they're all dancing around in, and they kill him. and they cut off his head, and one of the mannequins take the head and they put it on their own body, and they go off to where this guy who they killed was going, which was another party where, as the union leader, he was expected to get bribes from these two different industrialists. Anyway, it's hijinks, it's farcical, it makes fun of corruption and capitalism and stuff like that, and it's a good time. And I wrote a couple of cheeky songs for it, so come on out and see it. What else? Calendar sent that November 20th or September 20th. I already told you about that in Cincinnati. And I guess I just want to thank our Patreon supporters. And you can become one at patreon.com/Bleacher Bunch. Look, Joey's going to be there February 8th. We do have hashtag chance in the chat still to go. But I did want to thank you all for being here tonight as we continue this sort of experiment called the Bleacher Bunch, where we, I guess, have different hosts of the show, have different people roll through, trying to keep it interesting, trying to keep it dynamic, trying to keep it fun. And it's just great to be here with you all tonight. And I just thank you. Just hit like, hit subscribe. There's a new Bleacher Bunch YouTube. Please subscribe to that. We're going to be trying to focus our energies towards that. Thank you so much. What else? Yeah, hashtag chance. So why don't you hashtag chance in the chat and see if you can't win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. I'm going to pick this sucker. Who's going to win it? I also want to say we're going to have a Son Ranto show on Saturday. I think we'll go live for that Saturday morning. Clint Nathan, congratulations. You deserve it. He really does. I love Clint. I haven't seen him much on the Patreon recently or on the Discord, but I think I'm going to go over to the Discord. It's still pretty early tonight, so I'll go over to Discord tonight. Clint's here in the chat. Hey! So join us on Saturday morning. I'm not sure what time we're going to do it, 9, 10 o'clock, something like that on Saturday. Me and Michael Cotton chopping it up ranter style. We'll probably go live here as well. If you're looking for something to do Saturday morning, that's probably what we'll do. And that's pretty much it. So going over to Discord a little bit. Well, I'll be hanging out there as soon as I get off of here. Go get a glass of water or something, refresh myself. And I just want to thank all our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/Bleacher Bunch. Of course, all the great shows that are on the Bleacher Bunch. You got Cubs PS Plus. You've got Bricks Behind the Ivy. So many more. Me and Sarah did a show. The Cup of Cubby Blue show. So, and I don't know what Michael's doing with Cubs Pod, but we're doing a Son Ranto this weekend. Lots of great shows. We're all teaming together. Hope you support us. Tell a friend. If you don't like the show, tell your coworker that you don't like, and we'll bore them to tears. That's it. That is the show. I'm going to be a little hopeful here at the end. And I'm going to play a song about the pitchers and catchers reporting to camp. It is a parody I wrote of Weezer's sweater song. It is Pitchers and Catchers. So, Spagog, peace, y'all. Catch you on the Discord tonight.
Hey, Danny, how was your winter, man?
It sucked.
How about them Cubs? What an offseason! Freaking Theo, man!
Yeah, totally.
Oh, man, you want a beer?
All right.
This season's gonna be the best! With Hayward and Zobrist and Lackey, plus last year's dudes! We can't lose!
That's what they're saying.
Oh, man, it's gonna be the best! I'm so stoked! Take it easy, bruh.
I need palm trees, Cub fans, the sands. Oh, damn, I am freaking freezing. It is time for pitchers and catchers. We're so close to opening day.
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
Do you think they'll trade Soler?
I don't know.
I think they'll probably get a pitcher for him, but maybe wait till the trade deadline.
Hello, Rizzo, I'm gone. Bye-bye, goodbye, a flight, too much, gonna drive. It is time for pitchers and catchers. Whoa, 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 we're so close to opening day. To opening day. In Arizona, watching Cubs baseball. Drinking lots of beer. Drinking lots of beer. Out in the sun. It is time for pitchers and catchers. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're so close to opening day. To opening day. In Arizona, watching Cubs baseball. Drinking lots of beer. Drinking lots of beer. Out in the sun. It is time for pitchers and catchers. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're so close to opening day. To opening day. In Arizona, watching Cubs baseball. Drinking lots of beer. Drinking lots of beer. Out in the sun.
Here's the story of a bunch of podcasts who were bringing Cubby content to the world. All of them did their own show. Unconnected, obsessive baseball nerds. It's the story of a bunch of Cubs fans who are consolidating all their shows. They're uniting, doing it together, so we all can grow. Cup of Cubby Blues combining with Sunranto, Baseball Rabbit Hole and Cubs PS Plus. With Cubs Pod and Briggs behind the ivy, they're all teaming up to be the Bleacher Bunch. The Bleacher Bunch. We love the Cubs, that's the way.